This is Aide de Camp here, and we are sharing another book review with you. Again, our book reviews for the first part of this year are going to be focused around customer experience and customer service. What we're really trying to do is just build our knowledge base around like best practices and how ultimately we can deliver and implement the best customer experience for architectural fabrication. So, without further ado, this book study was on Raving Fans by Ken Blanchard and Sheldon Bowles, and we're excited to share some of our takeaways with you. First, we have video.
It's bigger. It's better. Ladies and gentlemen, it's too much for Mr. Incredible. Oh, no, no.
It's finally ready. You know, I went through quite a few supers to get it worthy to fight you, but man, it wasn't good enough. After you trashed the last one, I had to make some major modifications. Sure, it was difficult, but you are worth it. I mean, after all, I am your biggest fan.
That's right. That's what we want to create. So, this book really kind of helps frame up like what it means to be a raving fan. And Shelby, you want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, like, what it means to be a raving fan, we discussed kind of defining our vision for our departments. And again, like, this is just kind of an idea of like what we see for our department. So, for our project management department, my vision for us is to be more proactive, reaching out to the clients and giving them an update or information before they're even asking. Like we were speaking earlier, Ryan was said a story that there was a restaurant, one of his favorite restaurants he would go to, and order chips and queso. And before they could even think about ordering more queso, they already came out and topped it off and gave them new chips. So the vision for us and our team, I think, really is to just be more proactive and give the customer what they want before they even know what they want.
Absolutely. And the book like talks about how how a satisfied customer is not good enough, right? Just like satisfying a customer, you want people who are going to like rave for you, and that's really kind of the spirit of a raving fan, is somebody who isn't just satisfied with the business that or the service that you're giving them, but that they're actually like promoting you to other people. They're excited about doing business with you, and so just getting away from customer satisfaction, right?
Yeah.
And so the first step of that is, deciding what you want for yourself. So you have to define your vision for what a customer experience looks for you. And this is really about, like, the book kind of lines out, kind of uses the analogy of like dreaming about like what an ideal experience would be. Like when your customers come to you to buy something, what does that look like? And dreaming about that, right?
Yeah, I think when I look at my vision of our department, I think one of my ideas would be to just speed up our timelines, get our jobs out to our clients faster, whether that be other departments or our outside customer. But to even go further than that, to just have quality, accurate drawings to the client at even a predetermined timeline or even earlier, but never late. That's my goal, my vision.
Yeah, and that's interesting, Ken, because you talked about not just like how you might interact with an external customer, but at ArcFab, because our processes are so collaborative, like there's an internal customer that a lot of us have to deal with as well, right? Those are cross-departmental relationships, those handoffs. That's equally as important in the customer experience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and for my department, who mainly deals with internal customers, I think my vision for my vision to create raving fans would be to have a fully staffed department who can meet workflow timeline requirements and who manages all required information and basically to set up projects for success and to be profitable and in general to become a resource for the company as a whole with our knowledge and expertise that we have gained throughout our time here at the company. So.
Yeah, it's good. I think I'd echo the same, the same stuff as I've, thought about this book's maybe kind of think about our, from a pre-construction team perspective, like how do we cultivate the perfect pre-con experience for, again, not just our customers. Do we want to create raving fans? That's kind of an obvious thing, but as we deal across departments and as we work with estimating, as we turn it over to ops and design, like how do we make that experience perfect? And so kind of in sky's the limit mode right now, but like, I'm thinking about how do I have a team of individuals who are fully equipped to, launch out into a bid and over communicate proactively, as Shelby was saying, leading up to, through, and following the bid, come up with a comprehensive proposal, just where every single part of the process is like very clear, very, very clear expectations that are being met, and kind of like really setting up the client's experience for the rest of the project, especially if it's their first exposure to us. But then at the same time, keeping our team, across departments, setting them up for success as well. So a lot of wheels are turning in a lot of ways on that right now.
Yeah, I think part of my perfect vision would be to have a perfect alignment with pre-construction's vision. So it's like, how can we what resources and what things can I provide pre-construction for them to be able to have those conversations? So that is also combined with my perfect vision, being in alignment with everybody else's vision. So.
Yeah, and the book was really interesting to me because, when I got to this part, and we talked about this in our discussions earlier, but when I got to this part, my mind immediately went to like listing out the things that I think our customers want from us. And I really got ahead of myself in terms of this book because what the book really like outlines is how important it is for you to have your own kind of independent vision for what that experience should look like. Because in a lot of cases, and we're going to talk about this on the next slide, but in a lot of cases, like your customers are giving you little nuggets, and your vision has to fill in the gaps. And so that was kind of the interesting thought experiment here, is like kind of elevating beyond like what I perceive our customers' expectations to be, to really develop like my own vision for that. And we shared a lot of really good ideas about individually about what we think that means, like what our vision could mean to or could look like for our individual departments. But from an ArcFab kind of global standpoint, I see an opportunity for us to create some sort of mashup between like Amazon and Domino's, and be really like transparent and clear in our like setting up like clear expectations for our customers, and then like consistently following up on that and letting them know where we are in accordance to like those expectations. And then like the key piece to that is like consistently delivering on those expectations. So we tell them what we're gonna do, and then we go do it, and we do that consistently. I think we're gonna have like enormous success and really equip ourselves towards our long-term goals as like $100 million company. That we need these things in place in order to get there. So and that's a great transition into the next slide, which is discovering what the customer wants. So what do you guys have to share in terms of takeaways for this part?
Well, I would just say a common theme that has kind of come up in the first two books during this Aide camp year is to figure out what the customer wants, to discover what the customer wants. Really, some of the time it's just as simple as asking. So I wanted to point that out, that was brought up by Don Williams in Romancing Your Customer. So our ability to like get that information from our customer and then eventually delivering on that will be able to dictate how successful we are like as a company. So
yeah, to piggyback off of Nick, it is about asking, but to take it one step further, to want to even ask the customer, like it's gotta be in you. Like it's important to truly care about your customer, to really want to help them. So ask them with that intent in mind, but not only ask them, it's important to listen to what they say back. And sometimes what they say back is nothing at all, or all it could be is issues, or it could be positive points. Let me see. It's also important to know what to do with that information, because if you're asking all these questions and a customer actually responds back to you with information and you do nothing with it, you're in a worse spot than you were before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to kind of go back to the first book that we read that Nick mentioned, the love languages of a customer. So we have to ask them what they want, and then also understand how to give them the information that they want, or how to give them, whatever it is that they're looking for. So when the customer gives us feedback, it's important to read between the lines of what they're saying and have a really good understanding of what they're meaning versus what they're saying, because sometimes that's not always the same. So I think it's important to just ask the customer, get their feedback, understand their feedback, and then execute on that.
Yeah, and I think, Ken hit on a big piece of it for me, which is like there's a paradigm shift that we kind of have to force ourselves to go through, like as a team here with ADC, and supporting and leading the company. Like, we care about the customers. How much do we truly care about the experience they have? And so if we can outline our vision, finding out their vision is important. But then there's kind of like a rub where it's like, is it enhancing our vision, or is it, maybe unnecessarily derailing our vision? And so we have even tonight we had some good conversation around like, what can we be doing for our customers versus what should we be doing for them? In the book, in this section, there's a guy, Charlie, who's kind of being toured around these different companies to kind of like experience just like great customer experience, like we framed up. And he's at this one section, and the guy he's with says, no one would dream of trying to design and market a sports car that was also a great off-road vehicle and at the same time served as a commercial delivery van. Like those things don't all go together. He said, but at the same time, when it comes to customer service, those who decide to really try to give good service often aim to be everything to everybody. And like, we can fall into that trap as well. Like, our customer wants to do something off the wall or crazy. We want to do right by our customer. Maybe it's something that we should develop, and it would be smart and aligns with us and helps us grow and get to our goals. But maybe it's just not for us. It's not for ArchFab. And so like, that's one of the things that we're thinking a lot about right now is, is what are those things that can help us grow, but that we can be really, really good at, starting with the small things that are in our wheelhouse. And where is that line? And that's, one of the important things that I think we're teasing out in real time with this, with this exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the way that the book kind of frames this up. Sorry, I've got my in true Aide de camp fashion, we only record once, and somebody's like jackhammering outside my door. So I've got my mic muted. Anyways, so like what I think this book did a great job of kind of like framing up is how you start with your vision, and then you kind of layer your customers' wants on top of that. And so that in some cases that might like help indicate to you like whether you have a good fit as a customer for a customer. Like, there might be like, to be extreme about it, there might be like irreconcilable differences between what the customer expects and wants from us versus what we'll deliver. And there's great, the book, we didn't mention this earlier, but is similar to books that we've studied in the past in Aide de camp. Like Patrick Lencioni books are typically like a fable style story that kind of reinforces some of the principles of what they're trying to get across. And so this book was written similar to that. It's a story and or a fable story that kind of guides you through this process for developing a great customer experience. So it's taking that, what the customer wants, asking those questions in earnest, sincerely like wanting to know what our customers are, how we're performing, and like layering that on top of what our vision is for how we should perform. So that takes us to the next slide, which is, you have to do something with sorry guys. You have to do something with the information that you gather, right? And so it's like the way that Aide Camp is framed up this year, we're focused on implementing a customer experience that's really powerful, but it doesn't end there. And part of the discussion that we were having around this book is, the reason that Nick and Kent and Shelby and Adela, who is unfortunately absent with us this evening, the reason they're a part of this group is to keep this thing going. Like they're the to the book's point, like they're the 1%. Like they're the driving force behind how we continuously improve our customer experience. So I think you guys had some good input on that as well.
Yeah. So the quote on the slide. Listening to the customer is powerful, but responding to what they say is dynamite. I mean, that's so true. Like they can tell you all day what they want, but when you act on it, that is so much more powerful than just listening. And it gets to the point too, we were talking earlier, where they're just not going to give you feedback if you're not, engaging on their feedback. So it's important to continue growing, but in a manner that doesn't affect your customers in a negative light. Consistency is like the first key to success. Like become really good at something, meet their customers' expectations, and then you can continue or succeed in those expectations, and then you can continue growing on that 1%.
Yeah, there's a pretty good example in the book related to this, where Charles, our fairy godmother, who's guiding us through this customer experience, takes the area manager, our main character, to a gas station in like in the Northwest, like Oregon. So he pulls up to this full service gas station, and they wipe his windscreen down, but they don't wipe down any of the other windows. And the area manager is asking, so why didn't you guys wipe down any other windows? All the windows. And the owner of the gas station just says, we need to learn how to clean the windshield perfectly first before we move on to all the other windows, because the customer is going to be up, like you're going above and beyond any other gas station in the world, and by cleaning all the windows. But if you miss one spot, the customer is going to see that one spot and have a negative reaction and negative experience just by seeing that one spot. They didn't get their windows cleaned at the last gas station, but they did here, but you missed one spot and now they're upset. So I think like mastering that one thing, being perfect at that one thing is better than offering 10 things and just being average. So I think that dives into like what the customer wants and your vision and what the customer wants, and like that shaping, not necessarily directing your vision, but just enhancing it. And enhancing it could mean like taking services away and scaling back at some points. So
yeah, I want to add something to that. There's something the book talks about, and it's flexibility. And you may have a vision, just like a 10-year vision, but along those 10 years, something may change. So as you're chipping away at your 1%, you need to be flexible in changing your vision as you go, if you need to, in short strides.
Yeah, this part for me reminded me of a story. I can't remember where I've heard it, but it's kind of like just common knowledge about like if a pilot takes off in California, like from his trajectory standpoint, like the difference of 1 or 2 degrees is manifests itself in him landing in Florida versus New York. And like the idea that, we gotta have the vision, we gotta meld it with, the customer standpoint and know what we're going to do, but then actually iterating, making the steps necessary all the time, every day, like is going to make all the difference. And so we have to do what we say. This stuff we talked to earlier as a team just about how well this book maps onto our company values, and just like doing what we say. And that's I think the driving force for this takeaway for me.
Absolutely. So, hey, Ryan, you want to kind of recap this for us?
Yeah. So I mean, we were another thing that we said as a team there, like just in looking at this book as a whole, is like how well, frankly, didn't even realize like walking into it. But this like is a great framework, I think, and launching point for us as a group, moving into the year, just like, and really challenging us to nail down our visions for as a company, for our departments, for our teams individually, like what we want our this organization to be about from a customer experience standpoint, and articulating that vision, and then really putting some plans in place for gathering information from our customers and across the company, and then as a group figuring out how we want to solidify that and execute on it, 1% at a time, as the book said. So pretty excited about it, and it's really, really good stuff as we move into the year.
Yeah, agree. And just to add a little bit more context to that, so that's what Aide Camp's going to be doing over the next couple of months. Is we've presented on Romancing Your Customer. Raving Fans was our second book. We've got 3 more books in the queue behind this, and we're using these books to really inform that vision that we're trying to develop. And we want to go to our offsite training with as clear and detailed and specific of a vision as we can, so that we can leave there with like executable, actionable plans coming back, working in the business. So that's what you can expect from us in the content over the next several months. And then beyond that, is starting to build that customer panel, build those feedback loops within our customer community, and start actually implementing some of this stuff. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, if you enjoyed this module, feel free to rate it. Give us a 5-star rating at the end of your assessment, and stay tuned for more content. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
Aide Camp out.